Here's something you've seen 1,000 times, and probably never once questioned. Every railway track in the world is surrounded by a sea of crushed stones. Not dirt, not concrete, not grass, but stones. You've walked past them at train stations, you've spotted them from the window as the landscape blurred by. They look almost decorative, like someone just scattered gravel for the aesthetic. But here's the thing. Nothing on a railway track is there by accident. Every bolt, every beam, every single stone has a very specific, very important job to do. And once you understand why those stones are there, you'll never look at a railway the same way again. Welcome back to Plain Truth Science Channel. Today, we're going on a deep dive into one of the most underappreciated engineering stories in the history of transportation. And by the end of this video, you would understand why those stones along railway tracks. Let's get into it. Those stones found along railway tracks have a name. Engineers call them ballast. And here's your first micro-mystery. If you look closely at railway ballast, it's not smooth. It's deliberately jagged, rough, and angular. Not rounded river pebbles, not fine gravel. Specifically crushed rock, usually granite, limestone, or basalt, broken into irregular chunks. Why does that matter? We'll come back to that. Now, before we go further, let's understand what a train actually puts these tracks through, because the forces involved are staggering. A single freight train can weigh over 10,000 tons. That's roughly the weight of 70,000 average adults, moving at speed, rolling over 2 parallel steel rails that are just about as wide as your outstretched arms. Every time a train wheel rolls over a section of rail, it creates a brief but enormous downward force, called the dynamic load. Without something to absorb and distribute that energy, the tracks would sink, twist, or simply collapse. And that is problem number 1 that ballast solves. But it's only the beginning. In fact, railway ballast is doing at least 4 separate jobs at the same time. Let's break them all down. Job number 1. Load distribution. The rails sit on wooden or concrete beams called sleepers, also known as ties in North America. These sleepers rest on a thick bed of ballast. When a train passes, its weight travels down through the wheel, into the rail, into the sleeper, and then spreads out across hundreds of individual stones beneath. Job number 2, drainage. This is where those jagged stone shapes become critical. Remember how we noticed ballast isn't smooth? Here's why that matters. Smooth, round stones would pack tightly together, trapping water. But angular, irregular ballast creates tiny air gaps between each stone, a network of channels that allow rainwater to drain away quickly and completely. Water is a railway's silent enemy. Waterlogged ground becomes soft, unstable, and prone to shifting. If the track bed holds moisture, the whole structure can slowly sink or warp, a catastrophic safety hazard. The angular ballast essentially breathes, letting water escape while keeping the structure solid. Job number 3, stability against lateral movement. Here's one most people never consider. Trains don't just push down, they push sideways too. As a train rounds a curve or accelerates, massive lateral forces try to push the tracks outward. The ballast, packed tightly around and between the sleepers, physically locks the track in place like a wall of interlocking fingers. Angular stones grip each other. Smooth pebbles would slide apart like a ball pit. Nature actually shows us this same principle. Angular rock formations in mountain terrain stay locked in place far better than smooth, weathered ones. Job number 4, vibration and noise dampening. Every train generates enormous vibrations. Without something to absorb those vibrations, they would travel directly into the ground, weakening surrounding soil structures, disturbing underground utilities, and contributing to track degradation over time. Ballast acts as a natural shock absorber. The millions of contact points between irregularly shaped stones convert kinetic energy into tiny amounts of heat and movement, dissipating the vibration rather than transmitting it. This is also part of why railways near residential areas are still manageable to live next to. Without ballast, the noise and tremors would be dramatically worse.
The use of ballast in railways isn't some modern innovation. It goes all the way back to the very beginning of rail travel in the early 1800s. The first railways, built for horse-drawn wagons in coal mines, used wooden planks directly on the earth. They worked barely for slow-moving loads. But the moment steam locomotives entered the picture, everything changed. The weight, speed, and vibration of early steam engines destroyed track beds within weeks when laid on bare ground. Engineers in Britain, the birthplace of the railway revolution, quickly discovered that packing crushed stone beneath the tracks transformed their durability and stability almost overnight. By the mid-1800s, ballasted track had become the global standard. Fast forward to today, and the fundamental principle hasn't changed, though the science around it has become extraordinarily precise. Modern railways specify exact stone size ranges, typically between 25 millimeters and 50 millimeters, because stones that are too small compact into a solid mass that can't drain, and stones too large create instability and uneven load distribution. High-speed rail networks, like those in Japan, France, and China, use even more carefully engineered ballast specifications. Some next-generation lines are actually moving towards slab track, a design where the rail sits on a solid concrete base rather than ballast. It's smoother and needs less maintenance, but costs significantly more to build. For most of the world's railways, ballast remains king. And here's what I love most about this story. Railway ballast is a reminder that the most important solutions are often invisible. Nobody writes songs about crushed granite. Nobody posts slow-motion videos of drainage happening between angular rocks. But right now, as you watch this, somewhere in the world a 500-ton train is hurtling over a bed of carefully chosen stones. And those stones are silently doing 4 complicated jobs at once: keeping passengers safe, keeping cargo on time, keeping entire economies moving. The next time you're at a train station, take a moment and look down. Those stones aren't decoration. They're not leftover construction material. They are a 200-year-old solution to some of the most brutal physical forces that human transport has ever had to overcome. So, there you have it. Those railway stones have a name, a history, 4 jobs, and a 200-year-long legacy that keeps the modern world moving. Thanks for watching till the end. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It genuinely helps more curious people find this content. And if you're new here and you want more of this, everyday things explained deeply, hit that subscribe button for more videos.